Wednesday, August 26th, 2026. Today's world news headline summary. 1. The Korea Times. www.koreatimes.co.kr 1.1. Korea's public delivery apps struggle to turn low fees into lasting loyalty. South Korea's public delivery apps are currently struggling to transform their low-fee structures into lasting customer loyalty. President Lee Jae-myung recently addressed this pressing economic issue, describing the current market, where dominant private platforms Baemin and Coupang Eats hold roughly 93% of the share, as an effectively powerful oligopoly. To counter this imbalance, the government plans to utilize next year's budget to boost the market share of public delivery apps to at least 15 to 20%. However, industry officials note that these public services face inherent structural disadvantage. While initial subsidies and aggressive discounts attracted a temporary wave of users, the platforms lack the necessary capital to continually invest in feature updates and service quality at the same scale as their commercial rivals. Consequently, retaining the initial user base remains a significant challenge. Vocabulary. struggle, verb, 고군분투하다, 애쓰다. Many small businesses struggle to survive in a competitive market. Loyalty, noun, 충성도. Brand loyalty is crucial for long-term corporate success. Oligopoly, noun, 과점. The telecommunications industry is often described as an oligopoly. Utilize, verb, 활용하다. We must utilize all available resources to complete the project. Subsidy, noun, 보조금. The government provides a subsidy for renewable energy projects. Inherent, adjective, 내재적인, 본질적인. Every investment carries an inherent risk of financial loss. Retain, verb, 유지하다, 보유하다. The company implemented new policies to retain its best employees. Commercial, adjective, 상업적인. The product was a massive commercial success globally. 시사용어 해설. Oligopoly, 과점. 소수의 거대 기업이 시장의 대부분을 지배하여 자유로운 경쟁이 제한되는 경제 구조를 뜻합니다. 배달앱이나 이동통신사 시장이 대표적인 예입니다. Subsidy, 보조금. 국가나 기관이 특정 산업을 육성하거나 국민의 부담을 줄여주기 위해 무상으로 지원하는 자금을 의미합니다. 1-2. Trump reiterates remarks on S-Korea-U.S. exercise cuts. Very good ties with NK's Kim. U.S. President Donald Trump has reiterated his controversial directive to scale back South Korea-U.S. joint military exercises, citing his very good relationship with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. Trump explicitly expressed his dissatisfaction with the drills, writing on Truth Social that they are not only financially costly, but also send a totally inappropriate and hostile signal to North Korea. He emphasized that the financial burden falls disproportionately on the United States. As a direct consequence of this diplomatic shift, Seoul and Washington recently shortened the duration of the annual combined Ulchi Freedom Shield, UFS exercise, from 11 days to just 5 days. Furthermore, multiple field training events have been significantly reduced or entirely canceled. Vocabulary. Reiterate. Verb. 반복하다, 재차 강조하다. The CEO reiterated the importance of meeting the deadline. Directive. Noun. 지시, 명령. The agency issued a new directive regarding workplace safety. Scale back. Phrasal verb. 축소하다. They had to scale back their expansion plans due to a lack of funds. Hostile, adjective, 적대적인. The military troops advanced cautiously into hostile territory. Disproportionately, adverb, 불균형적으로. The new tax law affects low-income families disproportionately. Consequence, noun, 결과. His hasty decision will have serious long-term consequences. Duration, noun, 지속기간. The total duration of the flight is approximately 10 hours. Diplomatic, adjective, 외교해. 외교적인. The crisis was eventually resolved through diplomatic channels. 시사용어 해설. Scale back. 축소하다. 예산, 프로젝트 규모, 행사 등의 범위를 이전보다 줄이는 것을 의미합니다. 군사훈련이나 기업 투자의 규모를 축소할 때 뉴스에서 자주 사용됩니다. Directive. 지시, 지침.
상부기관이나 책임자가 공식적으로 내리는 명령이나 방향성을 뜻합니다.
1-3. North Korea's Kim presides over Porty meeting with no mention of Trump's overture. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un recently presided over a major ruling party meeting, calling for extraordinary responsibility and high prudence among officials. Despite the high-profile nature of the gathering, state media coverage of the event made absolutely no mention of U.S. President Donald Trump's recent diplomatic overtures. Trump had publicly boasted about his good relationship with Kim, hinting at a potential resumption of dialogues. The deliberate silence from Pyongyang indicates a cautious or dismissive stance toward Washington's current political posturing. Prominent geopolitical experts assessing the situation maintain that the actual chance of another summit between Trump and Kim remains slim to none in the near future. Vocabulary. Preside. Verb. 주재하다. 통솔하다. The Chief Justice will preside over the upcoming trial. Prudence. Noun. 신중함. Financial prudence is essential during an economic downturn. Overture. Noun. 외교적 제안. 접근. The government made peace overtures to the rebel forces. Boast. Verb. 자랑하다. 뽐내다. He likes to boast about his extensive art collection. Resumption. Noun. 재개. The citizens welcomed the resumption of public transportation. Deliberate. Adjective. 의도적인. 고의의. It was a deliberate attempt to undermine his authority. Dismissive. Adjective. 무시하는. 멸시하는. Her dismissive attitude offended many of her colleagues. Slim to none. Adjective phrase. 가능성이 거의 없는. The chances of finding survivors are now slim to none. 시사용어 해설. Overture, 제안, 접근. 본래 음악에서 서곡을 뜻하지만 정치나 외교 기사에서는 협상이나 화해를 시작하기 위해 상대방에게 보내는 유화적 제스처나 사전 접근을 의미합니다. Slim to none, 가능성이 희박한. 성공 확률이나 실현 가능성이 0에 수렴할 만큼 매우 낮음을 강조하는 관용적 표현입니다. 2. The Korea Herald. 2-1. Seoul assessing impact of expanded U.S. sanctions on Iran. The South Korean government is rigorously assessing the potential macroeconomic impacts of Washington's sweeping new sanctions campaign against Iran. The United States recently launched Operation Economic Outcast, significantly expanding the risk of secondary sanctions for third parties doing business with Iran. These extensive measures target 5 key sectors: digital assets, technology, gold, aviation, and shipping. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs stated it is closely monitoring the evolving situation, driven by growing concerns that these aggressive measures could push up global oil prices and ignite further friction between the U.S. and China. According to U.S. Treasury officials, the president has been calling world leaders with specific requests to abruptly end ongoing interactions with Iran. Vocabulary. Rigorously. Adverb. 엄격하게, 철저하게. The new drug was rigorously tested before market approval. Sweeping. Adjective. 광범위한, 전면적인. The newly elected mayor announced sweeping changes to city policy. Sanction. Noun. 제재, 처벌. The UN Security Council imposed strict economic sanctions. Secondary. Adjective. 2차적인, 부차적인. Secondary sanctions affect entities outside the primary target. Aviation. Noun. 항공, 산업. Technological advances have transformed the global aviation industry. Friction. Noun. 마찰, 갈등. Trade disputes have caused increasing friction between the nations. Abruptly. Adverb. 갑자기, 돌연히. The negotiations ended abruptly without any formal agreement. Interaction. Noun. 교류, 상호작용. Regular social interaction is vital for mental health. Secondary sanctions. Secondary boycott. 제재. 분쟁 당사국이 아닌 제3국의 기업이나 은행이 제재 대상국, 예로 들어 이란과 거래할 경우 그 제3국 기업마저 자국의 금융망이나 시장에서 퇴출시키는 매우 강력한 경제 제재 방식입니다. 2-2. Google steps up preparations to expand Google Maps in South Korea. Google is decisively stepping up its logistical preparations to expand Google Maps capabilities in South Korea. The tech giant is currently recruiting a Seoul-based strategic partnerships development manager to build a dedicated local team. The company's job posting boldly describes this expansion as a monumental historical turning point for the navigation market in the country. Google confirmed that its plan for a fully functioning map service will finally include highly anticipated turn-by-turn directions. This broader rollout strategy will inevitably thrust Google into direct, fierce competition with entrenched local mapping platforms like Naver and Kakao, which have historically dominated the domestic landscape. Vocabulary. Step up, phrasal verb. 강화하다, 박차를 가하다. The government must step up its efforts to combat climate change. Recruit, verb. 채용하다. The software company is actively recruiting talented engineers. Monumental, adjective. 기념비적인. The discovery of penicillin was a monumental breakthrough. Turning point, noun. 전환점. Winning that key contract was a turning point for our startup. Anticipate, verb. 기대하다, 예상하다. We anticipate a significant increase in sales this quarter. Rollout, noun. 신상품의 출시. The nationwide rollout of the new software is scheduled for next week. Entrenched, adjective. 확고히 자리 잡은. It is difficult to challenge deeply entrenched political systems. Dominate, verb. 지배하다, 압도하다. A few major corporations dominate the retail sector. 시사용어 해설. Turn-by-turn navigation, 턴-바이-턴 내비게이션. 운전자가 교차로나 분기점에 도달할 때마다 좌회전, 우회전 등 나아가야 할 방향을 실시간 음성이나 화면으로 세밀하게 안내해주는 기능을 말합니다. Rollout, 출시, 도입. 새로운 제품이나 서비스 또는 정책을 대중에게 처음으로 공개하고 본격적으로 시장에 도입하는 과정을 의미합니다. 2-3. Biz sentiment rises to near 4-year high in August. Be okay. South Korea's business sentiment surprisingly rose to a nearly 4-year high in August, according to the latest survey data released by the Bank of Korea. The Composite Business Sentiment Index, CBSI, for all industries climbed to 99.6, marking a 1.1-point increase from the previous month. This impressive reading represents the highest level recorded since September 2022. The central bank attributed this optimistic surge to solid confidence within the manufacturing sector, combined with an improved outlook in non-manufacturing areas, such as transportation and leisure, during the peak summer vacation season. Although the index remains fractionally below the baseline of 100, the upward trajectory signals a recovering economic vitality. Vocabulary. Sentiment. Noun. 정서, 체감, 경기. Consumer sentiment has improved due to lower inflation rates. Composite. Adjective. 합성해, 종합해. The composite index shows the overall performance of the market. Attribute. Verb. 뭐뭐의 덕분, 탓으로 돌리다. She attributes her success to hard work and perseverance. Surge. Noun. 급증, 급등. There has been a sudden surge in demand for electric vehicles. Outlook. Noun. 전망. The economic outlook for the next quarter remains positive. Fractionally. Adverb. 아주 약간, 부분적으로. The stock price dropped fractionally before the market closed. Baseline. Noun. 기준선. A score of 100 is used as the baseline for this psychological test. Trajectory. Noun. 궤도, 경로. The missile's trajectory was carefully tracked by radar. 시사용어 해설. Business Sentiment Index, 기업 경기 실사 지수, BSI, CBSI. 기업가들이 현재 체감하는 경기 상황과 향후 전망을 수치화한 지표입니다. 보통 100을 기준으로 100보다 높으면 경기를 긍정적으로 보는 기업이 많다는 뜻이고 100보다 낮으면 부정적으로 보는 기업이 많다는 뜻입니다.
CNN 3-1. U.S. national debt surpasses $40 trillion mark. The United States public debt has officially surpassed the unprecedented $40 trillion threshold, setting a new and highly alarming economic record. Financial experts describe this staggering figure as a grim milestone in the fiscal history of the United States, starkly highlighting the rapidly ballooning national deficit. Economists and policymakers have consistently warned that unchecked borrowing at this colossal scale threatens the country's long-term economic stability. The continued exponential growth of this debt burden remains a critical challenge for the federal administration. Alarmingly, interest payments alone now consume a vast and growing portion of the federal budget, restricting funds for other vital public services. Vocabulary. Surpass. Verb. 능가하다. 넘어서다. Her recent performance surpassed all of our previous expectations. Threshold. Noun. 문턱. 한계점. He currently earns just below the threshold for paying income taxes. Unprecedented. Adjective. 전례 없는. The pandemic caused economic disruptions on an unprecedented scale. Grim. Adjective. 암울한. 엄숙한. The police found the missing car, but the outcome was grim. Balloon. Verb. 풍선처럼 부풀다. 급증하다. The company's debt ballooned over the last decade due to mismanagement. Deficit. Noun. 적자. 부족액. The government is trying to enact policies to reduce the trade deficit. Unchecked. Adjective. 억제되지 않은. Unchecked corporate pollution will eventually destroy the local ecosystem. Exponential. Adjective. 기하급수적인. The tech startup experienced exponential growth in its first year. 시사용어 해설. National debt. 국가부채. 중앙정부가 세입, 세금 등 들어오는 돈보다 세출, 나가는 돈이 많아 부족한 자금을 메꾸기 위해 국내외에서 빌린 돈의 총합입니다. Deficit. 적자. 특정 기간, 보통 1년 동안 벌어들인 돈보다 쓴 돈이 더 많아서 발생하는 마이너스 금액을 뜻합니다. 매년 발생하는 적자가 누적되면 국가 부채가 증가합니다.
Number 3. 2. CNN and Variety kick off expanded partnership with live coverage of the 78th Primetime Emmy Awards. CNN and Variety have officially kicked off their newly expanded strategic content partnership, debuting with special live coverage of the 78th Primetime Emmy Awards red carpet. This innovative collaboration is designed to seamlessly integrate CNN's massive global reach and multi-platform audience with Variety's unparalleled authority and access within the entertainment industry. By joining forces, the two powerhouse brands aim to bring audiences much closer to the cultural moments shaping modern television. The exclusive broadcast will feature sharp commentary and intimate interviews with top stars and will be streamed live across CNN's connected TV and mobile applications for global subscribers. Vocabulary. Kick off. Phrasal verb. 시작하다. The soccer tournament will officially kick off this coming Friday. Integrate. Verb. 통합하다. We need to integrate the new software with our existing network. Unparalleled. Adjective. 비할 데 없는, 독보적인. The museum holds an unparalleled collection of ancient artifacts. Authority. Noun. 권위, 권한. She is recognized as a leading authority on ancient Egyptian history. Powerhouse. Noun. 유력 집단, 강자. The team has established itself as a true powerhouse in the league. Exclusive. Adjective. 독점적인, 전용해. The magazine published an exclusive interview with the elusive author. Commentary. Noun. 해설, 논평. The sports broadcast featured insightful commentary from former players. Intimate. Adjective. 친밀한, 심층적인. The documentary provides an intimate look at the artist's private life. 시사용어 해설. Multi-platform, multi-platform. 하나의 컨텐츠나 서비스를 TV, 스마트폰, 웹사이트, 스트리밍 서비스 등 여러 다양한 기기나 매체, 플랫폼을 통해 동시에 제공하는 방식을 의미합니다.
3-3. Fast-moving wildfire sends thousands fleeing in Nevada. A fast-moving wildfire, dubbed the Hawk Fire, has exploded across Nevada, sending massive flames racing toward residential neighborhoods. The inferno has already scorched more than 15,000 acres since igniting on Saturday, forcing tens of thousands of people to frantically flee their homes. In response to the escalating crisis, Nevada's governor has declared a state of emergency for the affected regions, and around 90,000 residents have been urged to evacuate immediately. Approximately 1,000 firefighters are battling the blaze, but their efforts are severely hindered by gusty winds and low humidity.
Consequently, the fire currently remains at 0% containment. Vocabulary. Explode. Verb. 폭발하다. 급격히 번지다. The bomb was designed to explode upon impact with the ground. Inferno. Noun. 맹화. 걷잡을 수 없는 큰 불. The burning warehouse quickly turned into a raging inferno. Scorch. Verb. 태우다. 그을리다. The intense summer sun began to scorch the dry grass. Frantically. Adverb. 미친 듯이. 필사적으로. She frantically searched her bag for the missing passport. Escalate. Verb. 악화되다. 확대되다. The minor argument escalated into a violent physical confrontation. Hinder. Verb. 방해하다. 지연시키다. Heavy rains will severely hinder the ongoing rescue operations. Gusty. Adjective. 돌풍이 부는. The gusty winds made it difficult to steer the small boat. Containment. Noun. 억제. 화재 진압. Total containment of the forest fire may take several weeks. 시사 용어 해설. State of emergency. 비상사태. 재난, 폭동, 전쟁 등 국가나 특정 지역에 심각한 위협이 발생했을 때 정부나 지자체장이 선포하여 일반적인 법률을 일시 정지하고 특별한 행정 권한이나 자금을 즉시 투입할 수 있도록 하는 조치입니다.
4.1 BBC 4.1-1 New Mexico wildfires burn out of control as U.S. battles under heat alerts. Wildfires in the U.S. state of New Mexico continue to burn aggressively out of control, leaving a trail of profound destruction. The devastating fires have already decimated more than 1,000 residential homes in the state, prompting the complete evacuation of entire towns. These catastrophic blazes are being heavily fueled by critically dry brush and dangerously low humidity levels across the region. Compounding the crisis, over 70 million Americans currently remain under extreme heat alerts, straining emergency resources. Meteorological analysts warn that these elevated temperatures and arid conditions are likely to persist, making near-term containment highly improbable. Vocabulary. Profound. Adjective. 깊은. 심대한. The loss of his mentor had a profound impact on his career. Decimate. Verb. 대량으로 파괴하다. The rampant disease threatened to decimate the local population. Catastrophic. Adjective. 재앙적인. 파멸해. The earthquake resulted in catastrophic damage to the city's infrastructure. Compound. Verb. 악화시키다. 가중시키다. His harsh words only compounded her feeling of misery. Strain. Verb. 부담을 주다. 압박하다. The sudden influx of patients will severely strain the hospital's resources. Arid. Adjective. 매우 건조한. 메마른. The desert is characterized by extreme arid conditions. Characterized by its harsh, arid climate. Persist. Verb. 계속되다. 지속되다. If the pain persists for more than 2 days, consult a physician. Improbable. Adjective. 일어날 것 같지 않은. It is highly improbable that they will arrive on time in this traffic. 시사 용어 해설. Evacuation. 대피. 위험한 지역이나 상황에서 안전한 장소로 사람들을 조직적으로 피신시키는 행위를 뜻합니다. 화재, 허리케인, 홍수 등 재난 기사에서 필수적으로 등장하는 단어입니다. 4-2 U.S. country music legend Dolly Parton dies aged 80. Dolly Parton, the universally beloved American country music icon, has sadly died at the age of 80. Her family officially confirmed her passing, sparking an immediate outpouring of grief and tributes from across the globe. Parton leaves behind an unparalleled cultural legacy, having penned timeless hits like I Will Always Love You, while simultaneously dedicating her life to vast philanthropic efforts. She was particularly renowned for championing children's literacy and empowering women in the music industry. In recognition of her monumental contributions to American culture, the U.S. president ordered flags to be flown at half-mast to honor the late legend. Vocabulary. Outpouring. Noun. 분출, 쇄도. There was a massive outpouring of sympathy after the tragedy.
Tribute. Noun. 헌사, 애도. The musicians organized a concert as a tribute to their late friend. Unparalleled. Adjective. 비할 데 없는. Her artistic vision provides an unparalleled perspective on modern life. Philanthropic. Adjective. 자선사업에. The billionaire established several philanthropic foundations to help the poor. Renowned. Adjective. 명성 있는, 유명한. The region is widely renowned for its excellent wine production. Empower. Verb. 권한을 주다, 자유권을 주다. Education is the key to empowering young women in developing countries. Monumental. Adjective. 엄청난, 기념비적인. Building the ancient pyramids was a monumental architectural achievement. Half-mast. Noun. 초기, 슬픔을 표하기 위해 깃대를 반쯤 내려다는 깃발. Flags at government buildings were flown at half-mast to mourn the victims. 시사 용어 해설. Philanthropy, 자선사업. 인류의 복지 증진을 목적으로 자신의 재산, 시간, 재능 등을 사회에 환원하는 이타적인 활동을 뜻합니다. Half-mast, 초기. 국가적인 재난이나 주요 인물의 서거시, 애도의 뜻을 표하기 위해 깃대를 깃대 꼭대기에서 약간 내려서, 절반쯤 내려서 다는 관습입니다.
4-3. Russia and Ukraine trade more deadly strikes. The grueling conflict in Eastern Europe has intensified significantly as Russia and Ukraine continue to trade increasingly deadly strikes. Both nations have launched massive waves of missile and drone attacks aimed at crippling each other's strategic infrastructure. This relentless exchange of firepower has resulted in a tragic surge of civilian casualties and severe damage to vital energy grids on both sides of the border. As the war of attrition drags on, diplomatic efforts to broker a ceasefire remain completely stalled. International observers express deep concern that the ongoing escalation will only bring further devastation without altering the strategic stalemate. Vocabulary. Grueling. Adjective. 몹시 힘든, 끔찍한. The marathon runners completed a grueling 26-mile race in the heat. Cripple. Verb. 마비시키다, 큰 타격을 주다. The cyber attack could cripple the nation's financial system entirely. Relentless. Adjective. 끈질긴, 무자비한. The relentless rain caused severe flooding in the coastal towns. Casualty. Noun. 사상자, 피해자. The explosion caused multiple civilian casualties in the crowded market. Attrition. Noun. 소모, 마찰. It became a war of attrition, with neither side willing to surrender. Broker. Verb. 중재하다, 교섭하다. The UN stepped in to broker a peace agreement between the factions. Stalemate. Noun. 교착 상태. The chess match ended in a frustrating stalemate after 4 hours. Devastation. Noun. 대대적인 파괴, 참상. The hurricane brought complete devastation to the small island community. 시사용어 해설. War of attrition. 소모전. 적의 인력이나 물자를 서서히 고갈시켜 항복을 받아내려는 형태의 전쟁입니다. 결정적인 한 번의 전투가 아니라 길고 지루한 소모를 특징으로 합니다. Ceasefire, 휴전. 전쟁 중인 국가들이 공식적인 평화조약을 맺기 전에 임시로 무력 사용을 중단하기로 합의하는 것을 말합니다. 5. ABC Australia. www.abc.net.au. 5-1. Prime Minister Albanese holds phone call with Trump on tariffs and AUKUS. Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese recently engaged in a productive, constructive, lengthy, and substantial phone conversation with U.S. President Donald Trump. The comprehensive discussion primarily focused on navigating the potential economic fallout from Trump's proposed global tariffs, as well as securing the future of the AUKUS security partnership. As aggressive trade postures escalate worldwide, Australia is proactively striving to safeguard its crucial economic interests while simultaneously reaffirming its steadfast military alliance with Washington. Political analysts observe that maintaining direct, clear communication channels with the Trump administration is currently the Australian government's top strategy to mitigate prevailing uncertainties. Vocabulary. Substantial. Adjective.
실질적인 상당한. The charity received a substantial donation from an anonymous benefactor. Fallout. Noun. 파장, 부작용. The political fallout from the recent scandal could be immense. Posture. Noun. 태세, 자세. The country adopted an aggressive military posture along the border. Proactively. Adverb. 선제적으로, 주도적으로. The team must act proactively to prevent future technical failures. Safeguard. Verb. 보호하다, 지키다. New strict regulations were introduced to safeguard public health. Reaffirm. Verb. 재확인하다. The two leaders met to reaffirm their commitment to the treaty. Steadfast. Adjective. 변함없는, 확고한. He remained steadfast in his principles despite facing harsh criticism. Mitigate. Verb. 완화하다, 줄이다. Planting more trees can help mitigate the severe effects of pollution. AUKUS. AUKUS. 호주, 영국, 미국 3개국이 인도 태평양 지역의 안보를 위해 결성한 군사 안보 파트너십입니다. 호주의 핵 추진 잠수함 획득 지원이 핵심 내용 중 하나입니다.
5-2. U.S. President Trump signs executive order on specific tariffs. U.S. President Donald Trump has officially signed an executive order deliberately exempting hundreds of specific food and consumer products from his newly imposed global tariffs. This targeted legislative move is widely interpreted as a pragmatic attempt to prevent domestic prices from skyrocketing amid the escalating international trade war. While the administration maintains a fierce protectionist stance across broader manufacturing and technological sectors, it is strategically offering selective relief to shield everyday American consumers from immediate inflation. Economists view this as a balancing act between aggressive foreign trade policies and domestic economic stability. Vocabulary. Executive order. Noun. 행정명령. The president issued an executive order to ban the import of goods. Exempt. Verb. 면제하다. 제외하다. Certain small businesses are exempt from this new environmental tax. Pragmatic. Adjective. 실용적인. 현실적인. We need to take a pragmatic approach to solve this complex issue. Skyrocket. Verb. 급등하다. 치솟다. Housing prices in the city center have skyrocketed over the past year. Fierce. Adjective. 맹렬한. 사나운. The competition between the two tech giants is increasingly fierce. Protectionist. Adjective. 보호무역주의에. The country's protectionist policies limit the entry of foreign goods. Shield. Verb. 보호하다. 방패가 되다. The new law is designed to shield consumers from fraudulent practices. Balancing act. Noun. 균형 잡기. 어려운 조정. Managing a career and a large family is a delicate balancing act. 5-3. BlueScope reaps rewards from U.S. tariffs. Australian multinational steel producer BlueScope is unexpectedly reaping massive financial rewards from President Donald Trump's aggressive steel tariffs. Because BlueScope operates significant manufacturing facilities directly within the United States, it bypasses the heavy import taxes that have crippled its foreign competitors. As the tariffs artificially inflated the cost of imported steel, BlueScope's locally produced materials suddenly gained a massive price advantage in the U.S. domestic market. This situation serves as a prime business case, demonstrating how highly localized supply chains can effectively turn restrictive protectionist trade policies into highly lucrative opportunities. Vocabulary. Reap. Verb. 거두다. 수확하다. The investors are finally reaping the benefits of their early investments. Bypass. Verb. 우회하다. 피하다. They managed to bypass the heavy traffic by taking a rural road. Inflate. Verb. 부풀리다. 인상하다. The shortage of materials artificially inflated the price of housing. Advantage. Noun. 이점. 우위. Her fluency in Spanish gives her a huge advantage in the job market. Domestic. Adjective. 국내. 내수위. The government focuses on boosting the sluggish domestic economy. Restrictive. Adjective. 제한하는. 구속하는. The new zoning laws are overly restrictive for local small businesses.
lucrative. Adjective. 수익성이 좋은. He gave up his teaching job for a more lucrative career in finance. Localized. Adjective. 현지화된, 국지적인. The franchise adapted a highly localized marketing strategy for Asia. 시사용어 해설. Supply chain, 공급망. 제품이 원재료 상태에서부터 생산, 유통을 거쳐 최종 소비자에게 전달되기까지의 전체 네트워크와 과정을 말합니다. 현지화된 공급망은 해외가 아닌 소비가 일어나는 해당 국가 내에서 이 과정을 해결하는 것을 의미합니다.
6. CGTN 6-1. China and U.S. hold third track 1.5 dialogue in Beijing. China and the United States recently convened for the third iteration of the Track 1.5 dialogue in Beijing. This unique diplomatic format strategically brings together a collaborative mix of government officials and non-governmental experts from both rival nations to discuss pressing bilateral issues. The meetings are carefully designed to navigate complex geopolitical tensions and foster a much more accurate mutual perception between the two superpowers. Geopolitical analysts emphasize that proactively maintaining these semi-official channels is absolutely crucial for preventing dangerous military miscalculations and building consensus during periods of high diplomatic strain. Vocabulary. Convene. Verb. 소집하다, 모이다. The committee will convene tomorrow morning to discuss the budget. Iteration. Noun. 반복, 특정 버전, 회차. The latest iteration of the software fixes several major bugs. Bilateral. Adjective. 양국의, 쌍방의. The two countries signed a comprehensive bilateral trade agreement. Geopolitical. Adjective. 지정학적인. The region's geopolitical importance cannot be ignored by world powers. Foster. Verb. 조성하다, 촉진하다. The teacher always tries to foster creativity in her young students. Perception. Noun. 인식, 지각. Public perception of the new health policy is generally very negative. Miscalculation. Noun. 오판, 계산착오. A single military miscalculation in the region could trigger a war. Consensus. Noun. 합의, 의견일치. The board members finally reached a consensus on the merger. 시사용어 해설. Track 1.5 dialogue. 트랙 1.5 대화. 정부 공식 외교관들만 만나는 트랙 1 대화와 민간 전문가들만 만나는 트랙 2 대화의 중간 형태입니다. 정부 당국자와 민간 학자, 전문가가 함께 참여해 공식 회담보다 조금 더 자유롭고 솔직하게 의견을 교환하는 창구입니다. Number 6. 2. Second World Humanoid Robot Games conclude in Beijing. The highly anticipated Second World Humanoid Robot Games successfully concluded at Beijing's National Speed Skating Oval, commonly known as the Ice Ribbon. The futuristic event featured over 1,300 competition sessions across 51 different events, where robots demonstrated extraordinary capabilities in sports like table tennis, long jump, and weightlifting. Rather than being mere static displays, these agile robots actively competed, pushing their complex algorithms, physical hardware, and intricate motion control systems to the absolute limit. Tech enthusiasts hail the event as much more than just a sporting competition. It is a profound testament to how rapidly the human-robot era is arriving. Vocabulary. Conclude. Verb. 끝나다. 결론짓다. The exciting festival will conclude with a massive fireworks display. Futuristic. Adjective. 미래지향적인. The architect designed a highly futuristic building covered in glass. Extraordinary. Adjective. 비범한. 대단한. She possesses an extraordinary talent for solving complex mathematical puzzles. Static. Adjective. 정적인. 고정된. House prices remained static for several months before jumping up. Agile. Adjective. 민첩한. 기민한. Monkeys are extremely agile climbers who move quickly through trees. Intricate. Adjective. 복잡한. 정교한. The watch features a highly intricate mechanism visible through the glass. Testament. Noun. 증거. 증명. The rapid recovery is a testament to the patient's strong willpower. Capability. Noun. 능력. 역량. The new software has the capability to translate multiple languages instantly. 시사용어 해설. Algorithm. 알고리즘.
컴퓨터나 로봇이 특정 문제를 해결하거나 작업을 수행하기 위해 따르는 논리적인 단계나 규칙의 집합을 말합니다. 로봇이 탁구를 칠 때 공의 궤적을 계산하고 팔을 움직이게 하는 핵심 두뇌 역할을 합니다.
6-3. Chinese Vice President meets Indian National Security Advisor. Chinese Vice President Han Zheng formally met with Ajit Doval, India's National Security Advisor and Special Representative, during his official visit to Beijing. The high-level diplomatic meeting was strategically timed alongside the 25th round of talks concerning the long-standing India-China boundary question. Both senior leaders took the opportunity to reaffirm their commitment to maintaining a positive trajectory in recent bilateral relations. They underscored the necessity of rebuilding deep political trust and continuously enhancing practical cooperation to ensure long-term stability along their shared, highly contested borders. Vocabulary. Strategically. Adverb. 전략적으로. The store is strategically located near the busy central train station. Long-standing. Adjective. 오래된. 단연간의. The two rival families finally settled their long-standing bitter feud. Reaffirm. Verb. 재확인하다. The corporate partners met to reaffirm their mutual commitment to the project. Trajectory. Noun. 궤도. 경로. Her impressive career is on an upward trajectory despite the setbacks. Underscore. Verb. 강조하다. 밑줄을 긋다. The recent accident underscores the critical need for better road safety. Enhance. Verb. 강화하다. 향상시키다. Using fresh spices will greatly enhance the flavor of this simple dish. Practical. Adjective. 실용적인. 시지적인. He offered practical advice on how to effectively manage our finances. Contested. Adjective. 논쟁이 되는. 분쟁 중인. The region remains a highly contested area between the two countries. 시사용어 해설. National Security Advisor. 국가안보보좌관. 국가 수반을 가장 가까이서 보좌하며 외교, 군사, 정보 등 국가안보 전반에 대한 최고 책임자와 조언자 역할을 하는 핵심 직책입니다. 7. NHK World Japan. 7-1. Magnitude. 5.9 earthquake shakes northeast Japan. A magnitude 5.9 earthquake violently shook the northeastern region of Japan, injuring at least 5 people and causing widespread but minor tremors across several prefectures. Fortunately, structural damages to buildings were relatively limited, and the National Meteorological Agency confidently confirmed that there was no immediate threat of a tsunami. Local authorities rapidly dispatched emergency response teams to thoroughly assess the situation and directly assist affected residents in the quake zone. Officials are strongly advising the general public to remain highly vigilant, taking all necessary precautions against potential aftershocks that frequently follow such significant seismic events. Vocabulary. Magnitude. Noun. 지진의 규모. 거대함. The earthquake measured 7.2 in magnitude on the Richter scale. Tremor. Noun. 진도. 떨림. I felt a slight tremor in the ground before the main quake hit. Structural. Adjective. 구조적인. The historic building suffered severe structural damage during the fierce storm. Meteorological. Adjective. 기상하게. Meteorological data showed a sudden, unexpected drop in atmospheric pressure. Dispatch. Verb. 파견하다. 보내다. Ambulances were immediately dispatched to the scene of the massive accident. Vigilant. Adjective. 바짝 경계하는. We must remain vigilant against potential cyber threats to our network. Precaution. Noun. 예방 조치. Take an umbrella as a simple precaution against the incoming rain. Aftershock. Noun. 여진. The ruined city was hit by a series of powerful aftershocks overnight. 시사용어 해설. Magnitude. 지진 규모. 지진이 발생했을 때 진원지에서 방출되는 절대적인 에너지의 양을 나타내는 척도입니다. 숫자가 1 증가할 때마다 지진의 에너지는 약 32배 커집니다. 7-2. Japanese manufacturing sentiment recovers following disaster. Following the recent natural disasters, sentiment within the Japanese manufacturing sector has begun to show robust signs of recovery. Stable rebuilding of crucial supply chains, strongly combined with immediate government financial support, has allowed major production facilities to normalize much faster than initially anticipated. Industry surveys reveal that optimism is slowly returning among large manufacturers, who are seeing a steady rebound in export demand. Nevertheless, economists caution that the persistent weakness of the yen continues to inflate import costs for essential raw materials. This currency imbalance places a disproportionately heavy financial burden on smaller enterprises struggling with tight profit margins. Vocabulary. Robust. Adjective. 튼튼한, 강력한. The economy showed robust growth during the first quarter of the year. Normalize. Verb. 정상화되다. Relations between the two countries began to normalize after the peace treaty. Anticipate. Verb. 예상하다. We anticipate a large crowd for the upcoming outdoor music festival. Optimism. Noun. 낙관론. There is growing optimism that a cure for the disease will be found. Persistent. Adjective. 지속적인, 끈질긴. His persistent cough worried his doctor enough to order chest x-rays. Inflate. Verb. 부풀리다, 가격을 올리다. The sudden shortage of goods artificially inflated the market prices. Disproportionately. Adverb. 불균형적으로. The new tax increases will disproportionately affect middle-class families. Margin. Noun. 이윤, 차이. Retailers operate on a very tight profit margin to stay competitive. 시사용어 해설. Profit margin. 이윤포, margin. 물건을 팔아서 번 돈, 매출에서 재료비나 인건비 등 들어간 돈, 비용을 빼고 남은 순수한 이익의 비율을 말합니다. 위키엔, 엔화 약세, 엔저. 다른 국가의 화폐, 예, 달러에 비해 일본 화폐인 엔화의 가치가 떨어진 상태입니다. 수출에는 유리하지만 석유 등 수입품을 사올 때는 훨씬 많은 돈을 내야 해서 수입 물가를 높입니다.
7-3. Tokyo ramps up preparations for peak typhoon season. As Japan enters the peak of its late summer typhoon season, Tokyo and other major metropolitan areas are significantly ramping up their disaster preparedness measures. Municipal governments have been proactively inspecting vast underground drainage systems and massively expanding stockpiles of emergency relief supplies at designated evacuation shelters. Recognizing the vulnerability of non-Japanese speakers during emergencies, meteorological authorities have drastically overhauled their alert systems. They are now utilizing smartphone applications and multilingual broadcasts to ensure rapid, accurate weather warnings reach all residents and foreign tourists alike, aiming to minimize potential casualties from severe storms. Vocabulary. Ramp up, phrasal verb. 수준 강도를 높이다, 강화하다. The factory needs to ramp up production to meet the sudden high demand. Preparedness. Noun. 준비태세. The city's disaster preparedness plan was completely rewritten after the flood. Municipal. Adjective. 지방자치단체의 시. The municipal government approved a budget to build a new public library. Inspect. Verb. 점검하다, 검사하다.
Health officials regularly inspect local restaurants for basic hygiene violations. Stockpile. Noun. 비축량, 재고. The hospital keeps a massive stockpile of essential medicines for emergencies. Vulnerability. Noun. 취약성. The cyber attack exposed a major vulnerability in the bank's security system. Overhaul. Verb. 전면 개편하다, 철저히 점검하다. The mechanic had to overhaul the car's engine to make it run properly. Casualty. Noun. 사상자. The tragic train derailment resulted in heavy civilian casualties. 시사용어 해설. Disaster preparedness. 재난 대비. 지진, 태풍, 홍수 등 예측 불가능한 재난이 발생했을 때 피해를 최소화하기 위해 사전에 대피소를 마련하고 식량을 비축하며 경보 시스템을 훈련하는 모든 준비 과정을 의미합니다. 8. AlJazeera.com. 8-1. New U.S. sanctions signal Trump desperation on Iran, experts say. The United States has unveiled a slew of severe new economic sanctions aimed at completely strangling Iran's financial lifelines.
However, prominent international political experts argue that these extreme measures actually signal growing desperation within the Trump administration regarding its stalled Iran policy. Despite enduring years of relentless economic pressure, the Iranian regime has proven remarkably resilient, continuing its operations and regional influence without total collapse. Analysts suggest that this inability to force Tehran to capitulate has left Washington with very few strategic options, raising serious doubts about the overall effectiveness of the so-called maximum pressure strategy. Vocabulary: unveil, verb, 발표하다, 드러내다. The tech company will unveil its highly anticipated smartphone next month. Strangle, verb, 목 조르다, 옥죄다. High interest rates are beginning to strangle the local housing market. Desperation, noun, 절박함, 필사적임. In a moment of desperation, he agreed to sell his beloved car. Relentless, adjective, 무자비한, 끈질긴. The relentless heat wave caused massive droughts across the entire continent. Resilient, adjective, 회복력 있는. Children are often much more resilient to sudden changes than adults. Capitulate, verb, 굴복하다, 항복하다. The rebel forces were eventually forced to capitulate after running out of food. Effectiveness, noun, 실효성, 유효성. The study aims to evaluate the effectiveness of the newly developed vaccine. So-called, adjective, 이른바, 소위. Her so-called friends abandoned her completely when she lost her job. Maximum pressure, 최대 압박 전략. 3대 국가, 주로 북한이나 이란이 핵 포기 등 원하는 행동을 할 때까지 외교, 군사, 경제 등 동원 가능한 모든 수단을 사용해 숨막힐 듯한 제재와 압박을 가하는 미국의 강경 외교 노선입니다.
8-2. Brazil fines TikTok $30 million for child data privacy violations. Brazil's National Data Protection Authority has imposed a substantial $30 million fine on TikTok's parent company, ByteDance, for blatantly violating child data privacy laws. Regulators forcefully accuse the social media platform of illegally gathering and mishandling the personal information of children and teenagers without securing adequate parental consent. Furthermore, ByteDance was strictly ordered to permanently erase all child data that was improperly obtained within Brazilian jurisdiction. This hefty financial penalty marks another aggressive move in the ongoing global crackdown against tech giants, highlighting a growing worldwide emphasis on safeguarding vulnerable minors online. Vocabulary: impose, verb, 부과하다, 강요하다. The judge will impose a heavy fine on the corporation for polluting the river. Blatantly, adverb, 노골적으로, 뻔뻔하게. He blatantly ignored the strict safety instructions given by the supervisor. Mishandle, verb, 잘못 처리하다. The police department was severely criticized for mishandling the cruel evidence. Adequate, adjective, 적절한, 충분한. Ensure you drink an adequate amount of water during intense exercise. Jurisdiction, noun, 관할권, 사법권. The case falls outside the legal jurisdiction of the local county court. Hefty, adjective, 무거운, 거액의. The celebrity had to pay a hefty settlement fee to end the messy lawsuit. Crackdown, noun, 엄중단속, 탄압. The government launched a nationwide crackdown on illegal street gambling. Vulnerable, adjective, 취약한. The elderly are often more vulnerable to extreme weather conditions like heat waves. 시사 용어 해설, data privacy, 데이터 프라이버시. 개인이 자신의 디지털 정보, 위치, 검색 기록, 이름 등을 통제할 수 있는 권리입니다. 최근 각국 정부는 거대 IT 기업들이 이 정보를 무단으로 이용해 돈을 버는 행위를 강력하게 법으로 규제하고 있습니다.
8-3. Bangladesh-India reset stalls over Hasina. Efforts to reset the historically complex bilateral relationship between Bangladesh and India have completely stalled over a diplomatic dispute concerning ousted Bangladeshi Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina. Hasina fled to India following intense political upheaval, and the new interim government in Dhaka is now demanding her immediate extradition to face domestic legal consequences. However, New Delhi has hesitated, maintaining that the formal extradition requests remain firmly under examination, according to established legal procedures.
This tense standoff has effectively deadlocked the proposed visit by the current Bangladesh leader to India, freezing vital diplomatic progress and intensifying geopolitical anxieties in South Asia. Vocabulary. Stall. Verb. 멈추다. 교착 상태에 빠지다.
The peace negotiations stalled when neither side agreed to compromise. Oust. Verb. 내쫓다. 축출하다. The military successfully managed to oust the corrupt dictator from power. Upheaval. Noun. 격변. 대혼란. The country experienced massive political upheaval following the sudden assassination. Interim. Adjective. 임시에. 과도기에. An interim government was quickly formed until free elections could be held. Extradition. Noun. 범죄인의 본국 송환. The criminal fought his extradition back to the United States for several years. Hesitate. Verb. 주저하다. 망설이다. She hesitated for a brief moment before answering the difficult question. Standoff. Noun. 교착 상태. 대치. The armed standoff between the police and the robbers lasted for hours. Deadlock. Noun. 교착 상태. The labor union and management reached a deadlock over salary increases. 시사용어 해설.
extradition, 범죄인 인도 송환. 어떤 국가로 도망친 범죄 용의자나 죄수를 그 사람이 범죄를 저지른 원래의 국가로 돌려보내는 국제법적 절차입니다. 보통 양국 간에 맺어진 범죄인 인도 조약에 의해 이루어집니다.
9. CBC Canada. www.cbc.ca. 9-1. Premiers told to bridge past Trump administration amid tariff war. As the aggressive trade war between Canada and the United States rapidly escalates, Canadian premiers are being strongly advised by experts to bridge past the turbulent Trump administration. Diplomatic tensions reached a boiling point after high-level trade talks abruptly fell apart, prompting the U.S. to threaten harsh retaliatory tariffs on a wide range of Canadian exports. Rather than engaging in a tit-for-tat economic battle that could damage both nations, experts urge Canadian policymakers to focus internally. They recommend mitigating economic vulnerabilities and building far greater structural trade resilience, ensuring Canada's economy relies less heavily on unpredictable cross-border negotiations. Vocabulary. Escalate. Verb. 악화되다. 규모가 커지다. The minor border skirmish escalated quickly into a full-scale regional conflict. Turbulent. Adjective. 격동해. 혼란스러운. The 1960s was a particularly turbulent period in American civil rights history. Boiling point. Noun. 비등점. 한계점. The citizens' frustration with the corrupt government finally reached a boiling point. Retaliatory. Adjective. 보복적인. The military launched a massive retaliatory strike against the enemy base. Tit for tat. Adjective. 보복에. 눈에는 눈, 이에는 이시게. The two rival companies engaged in a destructive tit-for-tat price war. Mitigate. Verb. 완화하다. 줄이다. Engineers built strong levees to mitigate the devastating impacts of flooding. Vulnerability. Noun. 취약성. The software update patches a critical security vulnerability in the system. Resilience. Noun. 회복력. 탄력성. The small community demonstrated amazing resilience after the devastating hurricane. 시사용어 해설. Premier. 주수상 주지사. 캐나다나 호주 같은 연방 국가에서 각 주, province를 이끄는 정부 수반을 뜻합니다. 참고, 국가 전체를 이끄는 총리는 Prime Minister라고 합니다. Tit for tat. 보복 전략. 상대방이 나에게 피해를 주면 나도 똑같이 갚아주는 전략입니다. 무역 전쟁에서 네가 관세를 올리면 나도 올린다는 식으로 맞대응할 때 자주 쓰입니다. Number 9. 2. People in Yukon respond to U.S. trade war by buying Canadian. In direct response to the escalating trade war and the threat of crippling U.S. tariffs, people living in Canada's Yukon territory are taking matters into their own hands by actively choosing to buy Canadian. This growing grassroots movement aims to boycott American goods whenever possible and financially support local businesses instead.
Consumers express that consciously purchasing domestic products is a highly practical way for everyday citizens to fight back against aggressive foreign economic pressure. This spontaneous wave of economic patriotism highlights a strong sense of national solidarity, functioning independently of the stalled high-level government negotiations in Washington. Vocabulary. crippling, adjective, 치명적인, 큰 타격을 주는. The small business was forced to close due to crippling debts. Grassroots, adjective, 풀뿌리에, 민중에. The successful environmental campaign started as a small grassroots movement. Boycott, verb, 불매운동을 하다. Activists urged the public to boycott products made using child labor. Consciously, adverb, 의식적으로. She consciously avoided eating sugar to improve her overall physical health. Practical, adjective, 실용적인, 현실적인. Learning basic first aid is a highly practical skill for any parent. Spontaneous, adjective, 자발적인, 즉흥적인. The crowd erupted into spontaneous applause when the hero finally appeared. Patriotism, noun, 애국심. The soldiers fought bravely for their country out of a deep sense of patriotism. Solidarity, noun, 연대, 결속. The workers went on strike to show solidarity with their unfairly dismissed colleague. 시사용어 해설, grassroots, 풀뿌리. 정치인이나 지배계층이 아닌 평범한 일반 시민들이 자발적으로 모여 시작하는 사회적 행동이나 운동을 풀뿌리 운동이라고 부릅니다. Economic patriotism, 경제적 애국주의. 국가의 경제를 살리거나 외국의 압박에 맞서기 위해 자국 기업의 제품을 우선적으로 소비하려는 태도나 운동을 말합니다.
9-3. RCMP investigate threat to shoot students in northern Alberta town. The Royal Canadian Mounted Police, RCMP, are urgently investigating a disturbing online threat to shoot students on the very first day of school in a northern Alberta town. The highly specific and malicious threat was posted on social media, instantly generating widespread fear and anxiety among parents, students, and educators in the tight-knit community. In immediate response, local law enforcement has significantly heightened a visible physical security presence around the affected school grounds. Simultaneously, cybercrime investigators are working relentlessly behind the scenes to track the suspect's digital footprints and identify the perpetrator before any harm can occur. Vocabulary. Urgently. Adverb. 긴급하게. The patient needs to be transferred to the surgery room urgently. Disturbing. Adjective. 충격적인. 불안감을 주는. The documentary revealed disturbing facts about the meat processing industry. Malicious. Adjective. 악의적인. The computer was infected with highly malicious software designed to steal data. Generate. Verb. 발생시키다. 만들어내다. The controversial new policy is expected to generate a lot of fierce debate. Tight-knit. Adjective. 유대가 깊은. Growing up in a tight-knit village means everyone knows your personal business. Presence. Noun. 주둔. 존재감. The sudden presence of heavily armed guards made everyone extremely nervous. Relentlessly. Adverb. 끊임없이. 끈질기게. The detective pursued the elusive suspect relentlessly for over 5 years. Perpetrator. Noun. 가해자. 범인. The police released a composite sketch hoping someone would recognize the perpetrator. 시사용어 해설. RCMP. Royal Canadian Mounted Police. 캐나다 연방경찰을 뜻하는 말로 붉은 제복을 입고 말을 타는 전통 복장으로 유명하여 기마경찰이라고도 불립니다. 현재는 일반적인 경찰 업무와 연방 범죄 수사를 모두 담당합니다. 10. DD India. 10-1. Doval, Wang Yi agree to political settlement of boundary question. Indian National Security Advisor Ajit Doval and Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi successfully held the 25th round of Special Representatives talks in Beijing. During this crucial diplomatic meeting, both senior officials mutually agreed to continue their deliberate work towards achieving a permanent political settlement regarding the complex and volatile India-China boundary question. They engaged in a candid, in-depth exchange of views, expressing satisfaction with the steady resumption of various cross-border exchanges. The Indian delegation specifically highlighted that strictly maintaining peace and tranquility in the contested border areas is a fundamental prerequisite for the continued development of broader bilateral relations.
Vocabulary. Diplomatic. Adjective. 외교회.
The hostage crisis was eventually resolved through careful diplomatic negotiations. Deliberate. Adjective. 신중한, 의도적인. The jury took slow, deliberate steps to ensure a completely fair verdict. Volatile. Adjective. 휘발성에, 변덕스러운. The political situation in the region remains highly volatile and extremely dangerous. Candid. Adjective. 솔직한, 숨김없는. The celebrity gave a surprisingly candid interview about her past struggles with addiction. In-depth. Adjective. 심도 있는, 상세한. We need a comprehensive and in-depth analysis of the current market trends. Resumption. Noun. 재개, 다시 시작함. The airline announced the immediate resumption of direct flights to Paris. Tranquility. Noun. 평온, 고요함. After a chaotic week in the city, he enjoyed the peaceful tranquility of the forest. Prerequisite. Noun. 전제 조건. Passing the basic language test is a strict prerequisite for entering the university. 시사용어 해설.
총이나 폭력 같은 군사적 충돌이 아니라 양국의 지도자나 외교관들이 만나 대화와 타협을 통해 분쟁을 평화롭게 끝내는 방식을 말합니다. 10-2. UP Cabinet approves purchase of 25 lakh tablets for youth. The Uttar Pradesh UP State Cabinet in India has officially approved the massive procurement of 2.5 million, 25 lakh, tablets to be distributed freely among eligible youth. With a substantial budget provision of approximately 2,704 crore rupees set for 2026-27, this 5-year scheme aims to technologically empower the younger generation. The state government clearly stated that the initiative goes far beyond merely handing out electronic devices. Rather, it is strategically designed to connect students with vital digital resources for higher education, skill training, and modern employment opportunities. Officials believe that dramatically improving digital accessibility will directly enhance the employability skills of the future workforce. Vocabulary. Procurement. Noun. 조달, 구매. The military's complicated procurement process for new jets took several years to complete. Distribute. Verb. 배포하다, 나누어 주다. Volunteers will quickly distribute warm food and clean blankets to the homeless. Eligible. Adjective. 자격이 있는, 적격에. Only full-time students are currently eligible to apply for this specific scholarship. Provision. Noun. 조항, 대비, 예산 배정. The new government budget includes a special provision for heavily funding public schools. Empower. Verb. 권한을 주다, 자율권을 주다. Teaching computer programming can empower children to build their own digital futures. Initiative. Noun. 주도권, 새로운 계획. The mayor launched a green initiative to plant 10,000 trees around the city. Accessibility. Noun. 접근성. The new building ramp significantly improves accessibility for citizens in wheelchairs. Employability. Noun. 취업 능력, 고용 가능성. Learning a foreign language can vastly increase your overall employability in a global market. 시사용어 해설. Lakh, raw. 인도에서 숫자를 세는 고유 단위입니다. 1라크는 10만, 10만 명을 뜻하고 1쿠우는 1000만, 1000만 명을 뜻합니다. 즉 25라크는 250만, 2374쿠우는 237억 4천만입니다.
10-3. Mission Samrid Gaon aims to create poverty-free villages. India's Union Rural Development Minister has officially launched Mission Samrid Gaon, a sweeping government initiative aimed at comprehensively developing poverty-free and employment-rich villages across the country. The ambitious mission seeks to establish a highly integrated and holistic model for sustainable rural development. By equipping isolated rural areas with assured basic amenities and modern infrastructure, the government intends to drastically improve local livelihoods. The ministry highlighted that under the direct leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, transforming these struggling communities into prosperous, self-reliant villages will lay an unshakable foundation for the ultimate vision of building a fully developed India. Vocabulary. Initiative. Noun. 계획, initiative.
The city's bold new initiative aims to completely eliminate carbon emissions by 2030. Comprehensively. Adverb. 종합적으로, 포괄적으로. The ancient ruins have been comprehensively excavated and studied by top archaeologists. Holistic. Adjective. 전체론적인, 총체적인.
The clinic takes a holistic approach to medicine, treating both the mind and the physical body. Amenity. Noun. 편의시설. The luxury hotel offers every modern amenity, including a spa and an indoor pool. Drastically. Adverb. 극적으로, 과감하게. The intense storm drastically reduced the overall visibility for nighttime drivers. Livelihood. Noun. 생계, 살림. The devastating coastal oil spill threatened the livelihood of thousands of local fishermen. Prosperous. Adjective. 번영하는, 부유한. The port city grew into a prosperous trading hub over the past 2 centuries. Self-reliant. Adjective. 자립하는, 독립적인. The isolated mountain community is completely self-reliant, growing all its own organic food. 시사용어 해설. Basic amenities. 기초 편의시설. 사람들이 인간다운 생활을 유지하기 위해 필수적으로 갖춰져야 하는 전기, 맑은 물, 상하수도, 도로, 위생시설 등을 통틀어 일컫는 말입니다.